UNT becomes the latest college campus to comply with statewide legislation. A timely update on the Texas measles situation. Countrywide protests continue nationwide at Tesla-owned locations.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining ntTV News at Noon. I'm Adriana Rivera. The Department of Justice has launched an investigation into the University of North Texas for alleged anti-Semitism. While the DOJ nor the university has released the reason for the investigation or what the alleged anti-Semitism is, this investigation is the latest in a string of governmental scrutiny that the university has faced within the past month. Earlier this month, Representative Mitch Little sent a letter to UNT admins urging them to remove an art exhibit from the Union Art Gallery entitled Perceptions, Observation Reflections of the Western Muslim, calling the exhibit anti-Semitic. The letter from Mitch Little also urged the cancellation of a lecture from Associate Professor of History Nancy Stockdale titled The Palestinian Children and Politics of Genocide. Despite this, the event is still on for this Thursday in the Jade Ballroom of the UNT Union. The event will happen on Thursday, April 3rd, with a reception from 5:30 to 6:30, with the lecture going on until 7:30. Professor Stockdale will be focusing on Palestinian children engaging in nonviolent civil disobedience against Israeli occupation of historic Palestine. On March 28th, the UNT System Chancellor Michael Williams sent a directive to the presidents of each university campus, informing them to pause on any drag performances on campus. The directive says that the university will wait on a definitive ruling on litigation against other Texas universities before providing any necessary guidance. Organizations like the GLAD Queer Alliance and Sigma Lambda Gammas, a sorority focused on empowerment for women of all backgrounds, to inform them about the new decision. Both these groups had drag events slated for this upcoming month. The Daily could not confirm whether the two events have been rescheduled or moved off campus. Well, we had some severe storms over the weekend, but it's been feeling colder out despite us finally being in spring. Let's toss it to our weather anchor, Isabel Smith, with more. Isabel, how is it feeling out there right now?
Well, you are definitely right, Adriana. It should not be this cold when it is almost April, but hey, you know what they say, if you don't like the weather in Texas, you really just need to wait 5 minutes, and it is definitely true for the rest of this week. Right now, we're seeing a current temperature of 58, feeling like 55, thanks to those 17-mile-an-hour wind speeds. Going into later tonight, it's going to be heating up just a little bit more, so you really do just need to wait a little bit. It's going to be 63, feeling like 68 with much slower wind speeds at 9 miles an hour. Now, going into tomorrow, we're going to be seeing it heating up a lot more with a temperature of 78, feeling like 76 with a wind speed of 22 miles an hour. So that wind that we all knew and definitely did not love this last week will be coming back with a vengeance. So just stay prepared, you guys. I will have a lot more later for full look weather, but as of right now, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Isabel. Dallas Representative Jasmine Crockett caused an uproar by calling Texas Governor Greg Abbott Hot Wheels at an event over the weekend. Republicans are looking to censor the Congresswoman for her comments. Crockett said, "Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there," at a human rights campaign on Saturday. Abbott has been paralyzed from the waist down since 1984. Multiple lawmakers took to social media to condemn the Congresswoman for her remarks. Abbott said in an interview on Fox News that it's another day and another disaster by the Democrats. They have nothing to sell but hate. President Donald Trump added that she was a very low IQ person during an interview with Vince Collianci. Crockett said that she was not thinking about the condition of the governor and that she was thanking the transportation he uses to transfer migrants. In El Paso, Texas has introduced a new way to combat people illegally entering the country. Border Patrol has shown off new infantry units called strikers to detect and track people sneaking across the southern border. With more on these units, CNN's Christian Andrade has the story.
Holy how much money is that costing us? How much money is that costing us? A lot of money? Millions and billions of dollars?
That's pretty cool. They should have some more to protect the border more.
Right behind me is the M1256 Alpha 1 carrier, also known as Stryker, which are going to be used right here in El Paso to help the El Paso sector of Border Patrol protect the southern border. Border Patrol agent Orlando Marrero Rubio explained what they'll be used for.
It's a force multiplier for us here in the El Paso sector, helping us detect, track, and apprehend individuals that make illegal entry into the United States.
While Rubio mentioned the Stryker's enhanced detection monitoring capabilities, he also said the appearance itself could lower illegal entries.
Officer presence goes a long way. So that's part of the show of force here in El Paso sector. So the visual, the optics of vehicles like these, it's a deterrent factor.
However, several residents I spoke with are concerned about the message it's sending to the community.
Okay, that makes it look like a war zone. El Paso, not a war zone.
Now, Border Patrol agents say since the strikers got to El Paso about 24 hours ago, they have yet to detect any illegal entries across the southern border. However, reactions around the community are mixed.
You think that they could use the money in different areas than that? Like for the homeless?
But I think it's better to also help out the Border Patrol and the cops and everybody like that.
Says that more Stryker units will be deployed to assist in the mission. The Texas measles outbreak is the largest we have seen in recent years, and the total number of cases has just reached 400. On Friday, the Texas Department of State Health Services reported 73 new cases since Tuesday, with one person being hospitalized. This outbreak has seen 41 people hospitalized, with the majority of cases being in Gaines County. On Friday, officials pushed the total number of cases in the county to 270. Doctors say to get immunized to avoid further spread of the virus. Can you guess which chemical is being banned from Utah's water supply? We'll see if you're right after the break. We'll be right back. President Trump's reciprocal tariffs are expected to be unenvied Wednesday. It'll have a broader scope than predicted, as he says it will affect all countries. CNN's Amy Kiley has more.
You'd start with all countries.
President Donald Trump now says reciprocal tariffs he plans to unveil Wednesday are on the table for all nations. That's after the Treasury Secretary told Fox Business earlier this month the focus was on those with the largest trade deficits. Trump also now says any deal related to the duties will come after they begin.
The tariffs will be far more generous than those countries were to us.
Meanwhile, 25% tariffs on imported vehicles are scheduled to start Thursday. Duties on parts are set to follow.
Most likely prices are going to go up, by a few $1,000s at least, but it would vary from brand to brand and maybe even from model to model.
Trump says he, quote, couldn't care less if car prices rise so long as more manufacturing comes to the U.S. Analysts say a major supply chain shift would take years. In the meantime, U.S. companies would have to pay the tariffs. Economists say that likely would raise prices for consumers.
You can't overrule the laws of economics with an executive order any more than you can overrule the laws of gravity.
Experts say those laws of economics apply to more than just cars. They predict Trump's other tariffs also will raise prices and lower demand.
When you combine that lesser demand with what we're seeing in the decline of consumer investor confidence, you could well see a slowing of the economy.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Trump also said yesterday he plans to use the threat of additional tariffs as leverage in talks with Iran and Russia. On Monday, the Supreme Court will hear arguments over whether states may tax Catholic charities and religiously affiliated groups. The case concerns unemployment taxes, and some critics say it could put more than 1 million U.S. workers at risk of losing benefits. It also the first religion-centered appeal the conservative Supreme Court has heard in nearly 2 years. Churches are exempt from most taxes, but the court will have to decide if groups affiliated with religious organizations are afforded the same accommodation. A wave of protests were held globally outside Tesla dealerships targeting billionaire CEO Elon Musk. The Doge leader's aggressive budget cuts have led to thousands of government workers being fired. Jen Sullivan has a recap on the protest.
Don't touch our Social Security! Crowds of protesters gathering outside a Tesla dealership in Washington Saturday. Outraged by the company's CEO, Elon Musk, whose influential role in the Trump administration has led to mass layoffs at government agencies and deep cuts to funding as the White House tries to rein in spending.
I think Trump is really running the country like a company, and he doesn't care about people.
Let's push Elon out the door! Protests were held outside of Tesla dealerships across the country Saturday, part of a campaign dubbed Tesla Takedown.
Together we can take our government back.
Musk was put in charge of the agency known as DOGE, which stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. Its stated goal is to reduce government spending. So far, more than 121,000 workers have been fired from federal agencies since the start of Trump's second term. Many of Saturday's protesters say those cuts go too far.
This is not about efficiency. This is about reducing efficiency.
Organizers say these protests are meant to be peaceful, but they come amid a recent surge in violent attacks on Tesla vehicles and facilities. Cars and charging stations set on fire. The FBI has even stepped in to help crack down on the violent attacks, and the White House condemning them.
When I looked at those showrooms burning and those cars, not one or two, like 7, 8, 10 burning, exploding all over the place, these are terrorists.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Last Monday, a fire at a Tesla dealership near Rome, Italy destroyed at least 17 Teslas. No one was at the dealership when the fire broke out and no injuries were reported. Fire officials say they are considering all possibilities as to how the blaze started and did not rule out arson. Local police are looking at surveillance footage. There have been multiple reports across Italy recently of Teslas being vandalized with anti-Elon Musk and anti-Donald Trump sentiments written in spray paint. It may have been heating up over in Europe, but here we have been seeing some colder temps. Let's head back to Isabel Smith with more on what we could see, what we could be seeing across the state. Isabel?
Thanks, Adriana. You are right. It is definitely getting a little bit colder in North Texas, which personally I think is absolutely criminal for it being almost April. All right, well, across North Texas, we see in Denton, Decatur, Bowie, it's going to be about 58, and I think that's a trend that we're going to be seeing all across North Texas is going to be in the upper 50s to 60s over in McKinney and Sulphur Springs. But if we go to our regional map, we are going to be seeing a lot more variation in weather. Oklahoma City has some pretty bad luck being the coldest at 50, with Houston being a nice and toasty 77. Over in El Paso, it's going to be about 64. In Austin, Boston, it's going to be 67, Shreveport 64 again. So we're going to be seeing a lot of variation around the weather. None of it's going to be hitting around 80 though. And if we go into our full week weather, well, you know what they say, April showers bring May flowers, and so there better be a lot of flowers in May, you guys, because these April showers are coming on strong. On Tuesday, we're going to be seeing a high of 78 and a low of 67. Starting on Wednesday, we're going to see increasingly higher chances of rain, so I would recommend having your rain jackets and your umbrellas ready. We're going to see our highest temperatures on Wednesday at 83 degrees with a 45% chance of rain on Thursday and Friday. We're going to be seeing high 60s, and that's what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the week, high to low 60s with a 94% chance of rain on Friday. On Sunday and Monday, that rain is going to be going away with it being partly cloudy and being a little bit cooler. Now, that's all I have for you for weather. Now, back to the desk.
Thanks, Isabel. Utah has become the first state to ban adding fluoride to public drinking water. Governor Cox signed the bill and it will go into effect May 7th. The mineral has been widely added to the U.S. drinking water to prevent cavities since the 1940s. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said in November the Trump administration would advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water over potential health risk. Similar bills have been introduced in at least 3 other states. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced on Friday that states will now be allowed to ban the use of food stamps to buy soda. Kennedy has been vocal about the issue through his Make America Healthy Again campaign, calling for the government to stop the $133 billion program from allowing its users to buy soda or processed foods. The announcement came at an event in West Virginia, the first state to ban artificial food dyes from schools. Something in your fridge may be a hazard. Stay tuned for info on a recall on North Texas television.
To you.
My bike is gone.
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
All right, look up here. 1, 2, 3. Mom, Dad, I got it.
You're right, Mom. I have.
212,000 pounds of egg substitute has been pulled from shelves because they may contain bleach. Bob Evans Better in Eggs, Egg Beaters Original, Cage-Free Original, and Cage-Free Original Frozen Liquid Egg are all under the recall. The particular items have the code G1804 on the carton, and anyone with these products are urged to throw them out. There are no reports of illness due to consumption, but the USDA says the risk is negotiable. The tragedy of the Titanic happened over a century ago, and the story still fascinates people all around the world. The Titanic exhibition in Dallas brings the story and history to life. I got a closer look at how it honors the lives that were lost that day on the ship. Let's take a look.
More than a century after its tragic sinking, the story of the Titanic continues to captivate. The Titanic exhibit lets you step back in time with artifacts and personal stories, showing both the luxury of the ship and its tragic end. Join me for a one-of-a-kind, exciting experience as we explore the Titanic's legacy in this immersive exhibit. Here's Nora Franklin.
It's so exciting for me. I was a theater educator for 26 years, and I retired and accepted this position as the general manager. And it is always exciting to me to see the younger generation come in. We've had them come in costume, fully ready to immerse themselves in the exhibit. They've told me facts from the littlest bitty 7, 8, 9-year-old up to, teenagers. They really do know about the history. It is really exciting to hear some of the stories that they come in and telling, and how excited they are to get to see some of the actual stories within our exhibit.
While younger generations may have not witnessed the Titanic's tragedy firsthand, the enduring interest in the story speaks to its cultural significance. Understanding this history helps us reflect on the lessons it carries, lessons of caution, heroism, and the fragility of life.
I love to be able to layer in those lesser known facts. It's neat to see their faces light up when they hear new stories, things that they may not be familiar with. That seems to be the most rewarding part of doing this job.
If you want to learn more about the Titanic, be sure to visit the Titanic exhibition in Dallas, Texas. With ntTV, I'm Adriana Rivera.
On Tuesday, the Denton City Council unanimously approved the rezoning request for the nonprofit Denton County Friends of the Family. The request was in pre-preparation of their biggest project yet, a 6.5-acre resource center for domestic violence called the Family Justice Center. The organization will break ground on the project along North Bonnie Bray Street. The new Family Justice Center will be a one-stop resource center dedicated to dismantling barriers and providing compassionate services. Today, Positively North Texas brings us the love, life, and music that follows the late North Texas rock star, Johnny Freeman. What have you got for us today, Noah?
Thank you, Adriana. John Freeman was an underground rock country icon known for reinventing the music scene in North Texas. He was a comic strip cartoonist, a comedic musician, and an alumni of the same arts magnet as me, and someone who didn't stop to explore the ends of what the creative mind can do. When he died in August last year, his friends, family, and former band members and fans all came together and planned what they knew he would have wanted to commemorate him as: an art rock show with all of his music performed and all of his art displayed. Yesterday, Rubber Glove Studio hosted the memorial show to not only celebrate the life of John Freeman, but to celebrate his entire impact that he had on artists all across Dallas, Denton, and even New York City. Bands such as Telethon, Meat Helmets, Dutch Treats, and Psychos are just some of the bands performing, and some of whom Johnny Freeman started himself. And all of the band members there brought their own piece just to showcase how many lives he had touched over the years. The event was free for all who wanted to visit, and the front man performing Johnny's songs was a fan of his for over 20 years, Jeremy Johnson. That's all I have for you today. Back to you at the desk, Adriana.
Thanks, Noah. Rubber Gloves wasn't the only partying happening this past weekend. A California neighborhood is recovering after the high school party of the century. CNN's Michelle Bander has the story.
See, that's just so scary. That was awful.
Shelly Kleinfelter recorded this video on her cell phone. We've blurred the video because there could be minors present.
I said, I'm going to take a video because no one's going to believe this unless I have a video of it.
While walking her dog on Happy Hollow Drive, she saw a line of cars and wondered what was going on.
It was just so loud, like the loud, crowd loud. I couldn't even hear if there was music. It was chaotic.
Other neighbors got home just before 10, saw the crowd of teens, and called 911.
As we called the cops, there was a fight that broke out.
This neighbor didn't want to be identified.
We saw that it was like mayhem. Just every single part of the sidewalk was covered with cars and kids, teenagers walking, wearing minimal clothing, just chaos.
You can see beer and alcohol cans left behind. Folsom police say one of the two homes under construction was damaged.
It's a vacant home that is sold, that is, someone's going to be moving in a few weeks. And they went in there and they were destroying it.
The neighbors say police showed up and they watched many kids just stayed at the homes. They hope the teens will be held accountable.
It's definitely trespassing at the minimum, and then breaking and entering and damage to property. There's multiple things, drinking underage, like there's so many things that were done wrong. It's just really sad for the homeowners whose homes were occupied with hundreds of random kids that now have damage and garbage. If that was me, I would be very, very devastated.
The Union Art Center continues to host different workshops for students to learn a new creative skill in between their busy schedules. Reporter Choice Murphy is live at the Art Center to tell us what the center is teaching today.
Thanks, Adriana. With the Union Arts Center opening up, the space has committed to hosting recurring workshops allowing students to stop by and learn a new creative skill weekly. Today's workshop allows students to come in and decorate mirrors using paint, which was a popular trend on TikTok in 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdown. Students interested in participating in workshops held at the center may come by and sign up, as spots are limited, and sign-ups are set up a week in advance so you can come by and secure your spot. Students are also able to go to the center's website and learn more about what workshops they'll have coming up, as well as stop by the center and check out the list of workshops posted outside of the door. Now that's all from me. I have to go figure out what design I'm going to be putting on my mirror, so I'm going to send it back over to you, Adriana, at the desk.
Thanks, Choice. I hear UNT is getting a new basketball coach. Sports anchor Jay Lathan might have more about that. Jay?
That's right, Adriana. Victory is in the air, and after the break, I'll tell you all you need to know about the man that will bring the boys to victory. Don't go anywhere.
I wonder what's on the radio today. I don't know about this. This is not it.
Everything alternative, commercial free. 88.1 Indy.
Here at KNTU, we have two traditional stations, 88.1 Indy and KNTU Jazz. We've also recently launched an internet radio station called Mean Green Hits. If you want to hear more, you can check us out at MediaNorthTexas.com.
That was pretty good.
The Rangers wrapped up their opening series against the Red Sox yesterday with a 3-2 win. The run support was kick-started by a sacrifice fly from Jake Berger in the second inning. Then in the sixth inning, a solo blast from Wyatt Langford and Adolis Garcia. Jacob deGrom had a shaky first outing, allowing 2 hits, but they were 2 home runs. He was relieved after about 73 pitches. They'll face the Reds tonight at 5:40. Now the Stars, they clinched their playoff berth in a 5-1 victory over the Seattle Kraken last night, headlined by Jason Robertson netting his 33rd goal of the season, and Jake Ottinger finished the night with 34 saves. Dallas has shown to be one of the best teams in the league from the opening month of the season, and now they have the opportunity to prove it with the Stanley Cup playoff run. Speaking of championship runs, the Mean Green Hoops is in the semifinal for the MIT tournament. Tomorrow night in Indianapolis, they'll play UC Irvine. You can follow fellow fans at Eastside Bar and Lucky Lou's in Denton for a watch party tomorrow night starting at 6. If not, the game will be on ESPN, tipping off at 6 p.m. Now, while the present is uncertain, the future of the men's team is. UNT Athletics welcomed Danielle Robinson as the 20th head coach of UNT men's basketball. He was the former head coach of Cleveland State, where he went 65-42 since 2022. Robinson has been described as a defensive-minded coach who recruits and develops talent well by AD Jared Mosley. Now that's all I have for sports. Back to you at the desk.
It doesn't matter if you are a kid or an adult, you've probably used a crayon. Today is National Crayon Day. Artists around the world have used wax and chalk-based crayons for centuries. Edwin Binney created the brightly colored crayons we know today in 1903, and the rest is history. Millions of people around the world use crayons today, and they continue to bring joy for artists and non-artists alike. Thanks for watching ntTV News at Noon. Join us again tonight at 6 and tomorrow here at noon here on North Texas Television.